Hello and welcome to the Listening Post's unboxing channel on YouTube. Today I'm unboxing NAD's brand new integrated amplifier, the C379. Now this 80 watt amplifier is of course destined to replace the C368. In fact, if you want to have a look at the older model, it's up here. The 368 and the 379 are effectively the same from an amplification standpoint. So for obvious reasons we're going to drill into initially the differences. At its core there are two main differences between the 368 and the 379. The first is the introduction of the new MDC2 slots, their second generation. Now these boards are a little bit larger than the previous one, and reports back from NAD is that that's to allow for a little bit of extra capacity for future plans. The MDC2 board for BlueOS, of course, which is the number one board, that one will now also allow the inputs of the amplifier to be distributed around the place. So there's an evolution there, and with that the componentry has had to change. It's good that, like the 368, the 379 has the same amplification as the 268. So the 268 up here is a power amplifier designed to add an additional amount of options in its setup, by amp, by wire, or bridging mono. If you bridge this mono along with the 268, you'll get 300 watts a channel. Want some information about bridging mono and bi-amping and all those things? There's a link to a couple of those videos. Right. The second major difference with this is it's got a new ESS Pro DAC on board. Now, these digital hybrid amplifiers and with the digital inputs and all of those types of things, the way that DAC works is critical to the outcome of the sound that you will hear. So improving that and lifting its performance, it's now a 32-bit 384 kilohertz DAC, again ESS SABRE Pro. That's going to lift the overall performance of the amplifier from its digital conversion perspective. It's going to allow things like the Dirac Live features associated with the room correction, and the MDC2 boards that I've alluded to makes that work better as well. So without further ado, let's have a look at this brand new product. Right, NADs. The packaging's always boring. These are designed to perform brilliantly. They're not designed to look like a piece of artwork, and the packaging reflects that as well. Very simple, NAD logo, model number, and an implication of the HybridDigital design that the amplifier utilises. We've got obviously a delivery thing there, packed closed. On one side we've got some basic information associated with the batch and manufacturing information, scannable information for its product and its serial number. Looking at one side we see an excellent line drawing of the back of the amplifier, letting you know of course the things you would expect to see inside, and on the other side we see a line drawing of the front of the amplifier. Okay, so these they're closed with packing tape, so very straightforward to open. Some simple nicks. The first thing you see is that they have protected the top of the amplifier with an additional piece of cardboard. And then, like the predecessor, you will see that it's broken down into two parts as far as the accessories and things along those lines. The first thing we see floating around is a quick start up guide. Now this is exactly as you would expect. It is, here's where the power cord goes, this is how you plug in something if it's an optical, this is how you plug in something that's digital, then this is how you wire it if you're bridging it mono. On one side we have a very simple brown box, and the only thing in it is a New Zealand IEC power cord. On the other side it's a little bit cool, we've got a lot more of the accessories. Okay, in here it slides open. Okay, we've got AA batteries, we've got an aerial. Now the amplifier itself supports Bluetooth straight out of the box, box. So this has a single traditional sort of Wi-Fi looking aerial to support the Bluetooth features that it has. Then nestled in the closed cell foam, we have the remote control. The remote control is standard across all of the new integrated amplifiers, so it's interchangeable. It means slightly lower production costs, and with that, good news for you guys because it's cheaper at the end user. Again, very, very straightforward remote control with the batteries along it which go down the length. It's got a great feel to it. It doesn't feel like it's going to fall out of your hands. Again, it operates all of the basics of the amplification as well as turning off A and B speakers, adjusting the volumes and other things like that. Okay. Right, now the amplifier at this point, it's really straightforward to lift it out. It's supported, as you could see, with the closed cell foam. In the bottom of the box we've just got a desiccant bag. Look at that. The closed cell foam, very, very straightforward to lift off. It's worth mentioning that the cutouts even support the back and the front slightly differently and clearly have the cutouts for the feet. Okay, and again, very, very easy. Now the amplifier is inside an oversized plastic bag, and that plastic bag is sealed closed with a little wee sort of circle of sticky label. Inside the bag, the amplifier is further protected with a soft polish cloth to ensure that the front of it remains scratch-free in transit. Now looking at the amplifier, of course, no surprises from a design and aesthetics perspective. It looks identical to the predecessor, the 368, and like many of the other components, this form factor is utilised to establish a good cost-effective manufacturing for all manner of things about this size. There's now 3 or 4 products that fit this form factor, and you can see with that it ends up again more cost-effective as far as things to the end user. Nevertheless, we've got a screen printed brand of the NAD, and beneath it a simple switch associated with turning the unit on and off. There is a little LED above that helping identify its state. Blue for normal, orange for lighting up, and red if you've got a problem, of course. The next is the ability to navigate any number of different things associated with the amplifier's setup, including pairing for Bluetooth and turning off inputs, changing their names, all sorts of things. Up, down, left, right and enter. Very, very straightforward from a navigation perspective. And it utilises a sort of a row of options across the very, very top of this display, so it's not distracting at all. It's got a 6.35 or 1/4 inch headphone socket. The screen printing again, HybridDigital DAC amplifier, the 379, and a big colour display. Now it's not a full colour display, it's not going to show you cover art or things like that, but it's got a nice touch of white, greys and reds to ensure the navigation and setup process is easy, and of course big enough to show things, show users from the other side of the room, but not so big that it's going to be distracting during operation. The source is a simple left-right push button, and please, if you've spent some time setting it up appropriately and turned off unused inputs, you can very quickly flick through to the inputs that you require. Lastly, we've got a basic rotary encoder, and that's for the volume control. Tilting it forward, you see that the amplifier has a significant amount of ventilation. The hybrid amplifiers run relatively cool, but when you're running things at an emotional volume, it's going to run warm, and it's great to see that they've invested in enough ventilation for that. It shows screen printing for the MDC2. The depth is relatively standard, and it means that other things can be stacked with it. Again, the power amp, CD players, other things like that. And this form factor and depth is again becoming relatively standard throughout the NAD range, which is very, very good to see. It's at the back that we see just the plethora of features that the unit has. Now, simple enough, we've got a rear rocker switch for power, an IEC earthed power socket, and with beneath that a fuse. Then you've got a ground for the purposes of attaching a turntable or linking this to a power amplifier and ensuring you don't have the risk of any noise or buzz associated with poorly earthed or differently earthed products. We see A and B speaker binding posts, and these are clearly labelled. The binding posts, as always, have a little plastic cap to cover the banana sockets that are underneath. Flick those out with your fingernail or a little wee jeweler's screwdriver. Along from that, we've got a recessed switch, and this is something to look out for. A recessed switch associated with how this amplifier is going to be operating. As standard and out of the box, it's set to stereo, and you flick it up and it changes to mono. And if you do so, you can actually see a slightly different wiring option that is added there too. The amplifier supports 2 subwoofer outputs, and you can see them clearly labelled 1 and 2. At this stage it's managed with basic crossover in the setup, and then there's the traditional pre-out, allowing you to tap that off to an additional power amplifier, or potentially use it for a multi-room environment or something similar. There's 2 basic standard line inputs marked left and right, and 1 and 2, and clearly indicated with the white and red the left and right inputs to use. Above those we've got some basic control in the form of some trigger ins and outs, so this will be turned on via a trigger and then cascade to another product to turn it on if required as well. That's kind of cool if you've invested in one of the external streamers, but most likely you're going to use one of these boards, and I'll touch on that later. Then we've got IR in and out, and again that's for external multi-room systems. They have to be a powered hub of some kind. It's not going to power or support an external IR sensor wall by itself. It's got an excellent moving magnet phono input, some RS-232 control, and then beneath that the digital inputs that you'll most likely utilise. There's 2 coax labelled 1 and 2, and 2 optical also labelled 1 and 2. Then we've got an HDMI for the purposes of the audio return, and this supports the eARC standard. We've got scannable information for the serial number, and then lastly we've got a USB for service and the Bluetooth aerial and things as well. Now it's the MDC slots that are going to make this it's a brilliant product, so please hang around for the photographs. I've done previously a unboxing video on the MDC2 card. There it is there. It supports Dirac, so it comes with a microphone and a USB adapter and other things like that. If you want to see how to install them, follow this link here. Okay, now the MDC slots, already available, clearly the Bluos, that's the most popular. But on the cards are an HDMI board and an asynchronous USB have been spoken about, but we'll wait to see as they arrive. So, there we have it. NAD's brand new C379 integrated amplifier. 80 watts a channel, 120 watts dynamic. With all of those things on board, the MDC2 card will support Spotify, Tidal, Deezer, the Connects, all of those things. Out of the box it supports Bluetooth aptX, so it's stunning, it's excellent, and I'm so proud to have shared it with you today, the NAD C379 integrated amplifier, here at the Listening Post in Christchurch, New Zealand. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more, subscribe to our channel.